Look, I've been using 1 of 10 Finder for the last 3 years, and man, a lot has changed since I first started using the app. But it leads me to ask this one question that actually matters. Is this tool actually worth your money for the long haul? Think about it like this way. Most people try a tool for a week, they give an opinion, but I've been actually holding off on this review because there's just so much that has happened with 1 of 10, and I've just been trying to see how they've been updating their new AI features and how it actually works in a real-time YouTube workflow. Before we kind of go deep into features, we need to address the elephant in the room that no one seems to be mentioning. You've probably seen the comments floating around on Reddit like the one, heads up, 1 of 10 is a waste of time and money. And then there's another Reddit gem where someone claims like it's a total ripoff because you have to make $50 in revenue just to break even. And there's no guarantee that you'll actually do that. I even saw a YouTube video recently where the creator argued that vidIQ does everything better for 17 bucks while 1 of 10 charges 70. We have to ask if any of these complaints are actually true. For example, there's so much that has happened about this app since it first launched. For example, what no one tells you is that there's 2 plans for 1 of 10. There's 3 plans of vidIQ. I use both tools, by the way. And what people often miss with vidIQ and 1 of 10 is that they're completely different apps for completely different use cases. But my goal is to make sure that this is the only video you ever need to watch on the internet. Like in all my Worth It series, we're going to break everything down today, including what the tool actually does, the current pricing, the honest pros and cons. We'll talk about who should buy it, who should not buy it, and I'll give you my final verdict on whether it's worth it or not. As always, just to be totally straight and transparent with you, 1 of 10 didn't sponsor this video. I paid for my own subscription with my hard-earned cash. The only kickback I get is if you use my affiliate link, which helps me and my editors finally move out of our mom's basements. And even if you decide not to use 1 of 10 and you want to support the channel without buying anything, there is a donation link in the description for that too. By the way, behind the scenes, I'm always negotiating for some special deals. So if you use the code Kevin or the code MOMMYSBASEMENT, you'll get a discount off. In addition, this is not 1 of 10 official, but for me, anybody that uses my link will do a free onboarding for anyone that uses my link with my thumbnail designer. But the real plot twist here is after 3 years of daily use, I actually stopped using the main feature that everyone buys 1 of 10 for. And the new features that they basically added, they save me a few $100s every single month on costs, and they actually save a lot of time and energy on my team schedule. So let's get into this app. So what is 1 of 10 Finder today? So when I first sat down to review this app 3 years ago, 1 of 10 Finder was basically the first tool on the market that helped you identify YouTube outliers. By the way, if you aren't familiar with what an outlier is, an outlier is just a specific video that performs better than a channel's usual average. The original promise of 1 of 10 was pretty simple. You just find viral videos, save yourself some research time, and then model your content on what's actually working on the market. But here's the thing that's changed over the years. Finding outliers is a commodity that you can get almost anywhere from now. There's so many apps that do this, like vidIQ added this to their suite. Mr. BSAP, ViewStats does it too. And since every single tool on the market had some sort of outlier tracking, 1 of 10 had to do something kind of different to just stay relevant. So if we fast forward today, the app now scrapes your own channel data along with like outlier data to help you generate your entire packaging, meaning your video ideas, your titles, your thumbnails. And it promises to handle your thumbnails, your title generation, your idea brainstorming by pulling your specific channel voice. Instead of just like spitting out some generic chat GPT garbage, right? It's specifically for your channel and they use AI models for it. The cool thing recently is that you can even replicate your face on thumbnails by adding a few reference images, or you can replicate the composition of a shot, like the scenery or the angle of a shot, just by uploading it to 1 of 10. Which means, honestly, you might not have to do another dedicated thumbnail photo shoot ever again. Thank freaking God, dude. I hated that stuff. And so this tool kind of evolved from a basic like, oh, here's some viral videos, into a full-blown production assistant that helps you handle your next idea with the thumbnail and title already finished. So really over time, it stopped being a research tool, but was more of a production tool. And so the question really isn't whether it can find outliers, but is it really worth paying for that extra speed and packaging quality for their pricing? And that leads us to the next big topic, the pricing plans. So when you look at the cost, 1 of 10 Finder keeps things pretty simple with 2 main plans. There's a basic plan that runs you about $49 per month, but if you actually pay for a year, it knocks it down to $29 per month. And then you have a pro plan, which is $89 per month, month to month, or if you pay in 1 year, it drops it down to $69 per month. Basically, the differences between the two is the Pro plan has all the heavy-hitting AI features like thumbnail generation, video ideas, and title creation. In my opinion, yearly is definitely the way to go if you like the tool and it saves you 40%. I know a lot of people try to compare this tool to vidIQ, and while vidIQ is definitely cheaper, they aren't exactly doing the same thing. vidIQ is packed with keywords tools, AI coaching, optimization features, but after paying for both of them for quite a while, I've realized that vidIQ is more of an optimization tool than a creative partner that generates new ideas. The way I like to think about it is like vidIQ is there to kind of help polish what you got, and 1 of 10 helps you figure out what the heck do I make in the first place, right? And I'll be honest, as someone who has both, in my opinion, they both work pretty well together. So now that we know the price of 1 of 10 Finder, you're probably wondering, well, like, how well does this tool actually work? And after many months, and this is actually my 3rd year using 1 of 10 Finder, these are the pros that I've kind of discovered. The pros: the thumbnail generator literally replaced my photo shoots. And I'm not even exaggerating when I say this, like it replaced it, because even my thumbnail designer will tell you the same thing. But it wasn't all that great when it first started out. Like if I scroll back, right, like when this feature first launched, I'll be honest, it kind of sucked because the faces looked like, they kind of look like me. It's that weird chat GPT like vibe where it's like they make you look a bit special, just to put it very nicely. It was like, I saw the potential of it and it was so bad where I actually reached out to the founder and I was like, bro, I love this feature. Like this feature is great, but there's a lot of work that needs to be done. And he just told me hang on tight until the face swap feature was ready. And so I actually waited almost 6 months just for that update to review this video. But looking back, I'm actually so glad that I stayed patient. And so if you compare the image generation from vidIQ and 1 of 10 side by side, you can see that 1 of 10 Finder photos are way more accurate and actually look like a human being. And man, when I think about it now, it's like in the past, I had to set up all my lighting, have to worry about the background just to take photos for my editor, who would then yell at me because he would be like, oh, your photo is blurry. Oh, your composition sucks. And because I hated the hassle setting everything up, it would sometimes take me 3 weeks just to get around to a shoot. Now I can just give 1 of 10 a reference photo of my face, right, along with the outlier video, my title, and AI handles all the heavy lifting for you. And this is the really cool thing: if you don't feel like uploading a specific video, the system will just generate images based off what you've already posted to your YouTube channel, and it'll usually spit out like 4 to 12 different options that you can edit however you like. And if you want to change a background detail or add an accessory, like for example, 1 of 10 sometimes generates my face and all that looks good, but it's missing my 2 chains, right? And so you can just type that in and AI will just make that happen. You can even draw a really messy sketch of what you're thinking, and the tool will turn that bad drawing into a professional looking image that looks exactly like you. While this is cool and all, I can already hear some people saying like, well, why do I need an app to pay for this? Like I can already like do this free with Nano Banana in Gemini, right? And so the real question is like, hey, can you find those YouTube outliers really quickly? Can you use that outlier data to make a thumbnail? And how much time and resources does that take for you? And as someone who actually has gone down the rabbit hole, who owns a business and does a crap ton of sales calls for high ticket sales, I can honestly say the answer is it's definitely worth it. I would say the big advantage here though is that 1 of 10 has all that outlier baked right into it. So everything is just 1 click away instead of having to build my own custom tools, my own custom GPTs, which I've done in the past too. I built Poppy boards, I built like custom GPTs through ChatGPT. The other cool thing too here is like I can actually make my edits directly in the app without having to jump over something like Topaz AI to up-res the images, right? Which saves me a bunch of time. I can do everything inside the app. And while this isn't like 100% perfect yet, I'll get into the messy parts in my con section later. It's actually wild how good this technology is getting, which leads me into next pro. You can get video idea from outliers you follow. Another feature that I've been using a lot is the channel tracker, which actually saves me a lot of time to do everything manually. In the old days of YouTube, you had to scroll through YouTube pages yourself and try to filter out for the outliers. But now I can actually organize everything by categories like high ticket sales or SaaS or personal development to see what these industries are doing. And honestly, it just makes everything so much easier to spot trends and see which formats are actually working for people in real time. And on top of that, I can even have that tool suggest a specific video idea based on the successful pattern. So if there's a thumbnail I really like or video idea that I really like. 1 of 10 will learn the language or kind of like my channel vibe and create thumbnails and titles that fit that vibe, which is really, really cool. The other pro here too is the title generator makes titles based off your channel voice and outliers. So most AI tools out there give you that generic chat GPT style with like the M dashes and the colons and all that. Those are the early models, but I used to hate that. And since everybody uses AI, you see everybody kind of use the same format. But now whenever I need a title, I just give 1 of 10 a very clear idea of the video I'm trying to make by doing a short intro or summary. And the results are actually pretty impressive because you can get 2 different lists of titles to choose from. I thought this was really cool. One list is inspired by, people who watch your channel voice, and the other one is based off successful outliers in your niche or industry. But one of the things I always struggled with was like, okay, but where are you getting this data from? And this is the cool part. You can click on the title that you like, and the app will show you the exact video it got the inspiration from, which is really, really, really helpful for context. So yeah, it's like something could be an outlier, but if it's from like 15 years ago or like a 200x outlier but only has 200 views, that's probably not going to be very helpful for me. And since you end up with a handful of solid titles that could all work, it makes it really, really easy for YouTube's new A/B testing feature to see which one performs best. The next pro is that you can actually A/B test thumbnails and titles cheaper and faster than ever before. So if you ever had to hire a thumbnail editor or whatever, you know that the good ones are definitely not cheap. If you look at budget options on the site like Fiverr, they usually give you some like super overexposed garbage, while these will cost anywhere from $15 to $5 per thumbnail, right? And it looks really, really bad. While the higher quality designers, they charge anywhere from $25 to $100 for a single concept without a guarantee that you'll actually get clicks. When you add up the cost of the idea, the script, the shooting, the editing, you're easily looking at paying $500 per video. And even on this dying channel, I could only justify testing 2 thumbnails at a time because of the cost and the time it took to make these thumbnails. But now 1 of 10 has completely removed that bottleneck for me of time. Now we can generate a dozen titles, thumbnails in seconds, pick our favorites, and then just start testing them immediately. For me personally, if I put out 2 videos a month, the tool pays for itself compared to what I was paying for before to my designer. And now having this tool gives me another extra confidence to just ship out a video and see how it does without stressing over $100 design fee. I can literally generate 12 different variations in the time it takes me to sip on my morning coffee, and now I know that it's all based on real life data. Speaking about saving costs, let's talk about the next one. Bit controversial. I fired my thumbnail designer, but it is not what you think. So when 1 of 10 upgraded their features, my thumbnail designer honestly was low-key worried about his job, and he wasn't entirely wrong. I did technically fire him as a designer, but there's a happy ending to the story because I realized he had something that AI didn't. He had great taste. Even though a basic VA could probably generate thumbnails now without knowing a thing about Photoshop, what I really needed was someone to tell me which ones were actually good, which ideas were good for my channel. And so I ended up upgrading his role from a thumbnail designer to my content strategist. And this was really cool because he's no longer moving pixels around and he could actually start focusing on the big picture of things. Now he uses the tool to find concepts that match the brand and pairs them with the right titles, right? And we can look for outliers. And the best part is it lets him step out of execution mode and into a more valuable role for myself and probably his other clients too. The next pro too is you can switch between multiple channels. So for anyone running an agency or managing several channels at once, this tool is a total life changer. Right now I'm balancing a few different channels. I have this high ticket sales channel, I have a personal yapping channel, I have my main channel, and I have this SaaS review channel that you see here. Even though they all have a slightly different vibe, I can manage them all in one place without consistently logging in and logging out. And by being able to switch profiles instantly, it automatically updates the thumbnails, the titles, and ideas for that specific brand, which honestly reduces the number of clicks that you need to make. And if you are an agency owner, you could easily white label this for your clients and charge a monthly retainer with this one tool to handle all the heavy lifting behind the scenes. The 1 of 10 Finder Chrome extension is underrated. Okay, one of the most underrated things is actually the YouTube extension. I love this extension because it allows you to preview your thumbnails and titles right on the YouTube homepage. Back in the day, if you wanted to do this, you had to take a screenshot of your YouTube homepage and manually paste your thumbnail in Photoshop or Figma or whatever just to see if it stood out. Now, today, with just a couple clicks, the extension can drop your new thumbnail and title into the YouTube Explore page. And this is great because you can see exactly how a viewer would experience your video along with everything else that is trending. And it removes the amount of clicks that you have to do. And it's really, really cool because I always think about like, how do I kind of stand out from everyone else's video? So there's that. Okay, so now that I gave you that long list of pros, let's talk about the cons because not everything is all that great of 1 of 10, and I'll get into that. Okay, editing thumbnails is good, but it could be way better. So one of the things I actually really don't like about 1 of 10 is that there isn't a visual editor to work with. Like what I really wish is that I could circle a specific spot on the screen and tell the AI to fix this or remove this, which means every single edit has to go through a text prompt. Most of the time it actually works pretty well, but to make matters worse, like let's say if you have 2 laptops, right, and you're just like, oh, I want this laptop to be removed, not the other one, right? It's like, yes, you can do it, but sometimes it takes a little back and forth. I sometimes feel like I'm being nickel and dime because every single one of those edits actually costs you credit. But I'll get into the specific of the credits in just a second. They changed this recently, but before you couldn't really add any extra images or context data to show it what you're looking for. Like, so for example, if I wanted a laptop, but it does some sort of PC, but I clearly use something like a MacBook, right? And I want to change that. It had no way of knowing of that, but now I can actually give it a reference photo and it will put that into the image, right? I would say most of the time the tool does a really good job at understanding my vision, but when it's off, it can be really, really off. And sometimes I actually found myself burning through a lot of credits just trying to get the image to look right. And I think this could all be solved with some sort of visual interface. If I could just circle in an element and tell it to change this to blue or remove it entirely, the process would be so much cleaner and smoother. And the best analogy I can think of, it's like sometimes it just feels like I'm trying to direct a professional photo shoot through a walkie-talkie, and while it technically works, it kind of can feel clunky a lot of times. Additionally, I kind of wish I could drag the text around or remove the text altogether or change the text fonts too. That would be really, really cool. So I could just like save so much time and frustration. But yeah, so earlier I mentioned something about the credits. That gets me into the next con. You can burn credits really, really quick. These new AI tools for generating thumbnails and titles are great, but they actually end up costing a lot of credits. I totally get that it takes a massive amount of computing power to create these images from scratch, but when you factor in the initial image generation and the cost of every single edit, the price actually starts to climb. So if you're on like the pro plan and you're testing out different variations, like you should be, you're gonna run out of credits faster than you thing. So even when I was shooting this video, we were kind of publishing 2 videos per week. One is the yapping video, one is my main like high ticket sales or SaaS or whatever video, or like a core video. We hit that 100% credit, and you get like about, I think, 1,000 credits per month. Now it might be biased because we were trying to generate some b-roll for this video with those generations, but I think if you're doing 2 videos a week, you're probably gonna hit that. To be honest, it's not a really great feeling to have videos left to produce while you're constantly looking over your shoulder to see your remaining balance, right? And so what I really wish they did instead was like follow the lead of something like Subscriber AI, where they charge you for the initial generation, but then they give you like a set amount of revisions that you can do for free. Not being charged for every little single tweak would make the workflow feel a lot more natural and less stressful. Like I said, right now you get 1,000 credits every single month, but if you're new to the tool, you're probably wondering what a credit even represents in the real world. And so let me break things down for you to plan your budget. Idea generation, which gives you a title and thumbnail, can cost 27 credits. If you want to make 4 thumbnails, it'll cost you 20 credits. Getting a list of 20 titles costs about 8 credits. Every AI on a thumbnail like costs another 1 credit. And then if you want to upscale something, it'll cost an additional 1 credit. So if I'm being conservative and I'm assuming I won't love every single idea that AI throws at me, it usually costs about 50 credits per video for me. And this roughly works out to like $3 to $4 per with every single upload, which is honestly still way cheaper than hiring a professional thumbnail designer. And if you do happen to run out, you can actually buy 500 more credits for $35 or 1,000 credits for $65, at least at the time of the shooting. Let's get into the next con. You can't actually actually customize the font or text that easily. I'll be honest with you, the copy and the text AI puts on these thumbnails is actually quite good most of the time. However, there are plenty of moments where the fonts are just completely wrong for my brand. Personally, I prefer a casual Helvetica new font in all lowercase letters. But sometimes AI gives me a loud Mr. Beast style font that's all capitalized and looks way too cartoony. The problem is that there's no easy way to swap out fonts, and once the thumbnail is generated, it's kind of like burned into the image and you can't move it around. And every once in a while, like, it happens, but you'll find a typo. My current workaround's a bit annoying, but it's the only way to get the look I want without losing my mind. So once I find a thumbnail like composition or layout that I really love, I'll actually spend 1 credit to remove the text and export that clean image, which I'll put into Photoshop, Canva, or Pixelmator. It's like Apple's Photoshop, right? And I'll manually add my own text with the shadows I want and all that sort of stuff too. If 1 of 10 could add more like text options or font options, that would turn a really great tool to a legendary tool for serious creators. The pricing isn't for everyone. We have to be real. Spending almost $80 per month is real money for people, especially if you're a beginner. If you're running a small channel that isn't even monetized yet, that monthly bill is going to be a tough people to swallow if they're new into business, right? And hopefully you watch enough reviews where it's like, okay, I feel okay about like spending this money. I think this app is actually a perfect fit for creators who are already paying for a thumbnail editor or already have a budget for a thumbnail designer but have no idea what a good thumbnail looks like. If you're a business, this is actually a steal because at the end of the day, it reduces your overhead by a huge margin. And if you think about it, where else are you going to find a reliable thumbnail designer who only charges $3 to $4 per thumbnail? Okay, so you might be asking, like, who is this actually for? So after using this app for about 3 years now, I kind of know who this is for and who this is not for. So let's get into the first person who I think it's great for. You have no idea what actually makes a thumbnail good or have zero Photoshop skills. So this is for the thumbnail challenge creators like myself, and you probably know who you are as well. If your thumbnails kind of look like Microsoft Paint disasters from like the early 2000s and your click-through rate is in the toilet because your packaging is terrible, this is probably for you. I think one of the hardest things about YouTube is actually getting the look and feel of a thumbnail right, and this actually helps you kind of shortcut this because you don't have to know the basics. The tool already knows the basics and you'll just be exposed to better and better thumbnails over time. But the thumbnails here on 1 of 10 are really decent, and this tool can help you get the sixth sense over time after just so many generations of thumbnails and titles here. And so for me, I personally think the cost to learn thumbnails through 1 of 10 is actually really worth it. The other person I think this is for is like you suck at taking photos or have crappy gear. So if you're someone that hates photo shoots like I do, this is for you. Something really cool with 1 of 10 is like you can do a bunch of photo shoots and stuff like with your iPhone or whatever in front of good lighting, and then upload them as your reference photos and you're done forever. You don't need to set up like heavy aperture lights. Like I literally have an aperture light over here. You don't have to deal with like camera settings or worrying if you're in shot because AI will handle everything for you. And if you do screw up, then you can just tell AI to shift the composition or the angle or the lighting or whatever. And so if you're like me and you hate doing thumbnails because you hate shooting them, 1 of 10 Finder removes this completely. The other person that I think this is for is your A/B testing fiend. So if you want to test thumbnails and titles, this is for you. With YouTube launching the ability to test thumbnails and titles now, you can actually make a lot of variations pretty easily. In the past, you had to go through a thumbnail designer, brainstorm a bunch of things, which took a lot of energy, wait for those concepts to come back to you. It just took forever. But now you can actually instantly make variations of the same concept, test them all, and see what actually performs. And personally, I love using this at the end of the month because you're probably not going to use up those credits before the month ends. And the more that you test, the faster you kind of learn what works for the for your audience. The other person that this is for is you're making 1 to 2 videos per month, paying an existing designer, or you're YouTube monetized. Pretty much, if you're a professional YouTuber, you should probably invest in this. If you're putting out 1 to 2 videos every single month, the math starts making sense. At this point, you're probably paying at least like $50 for every thumbnail, or you're burning hours trying to DIY your process. Since you already have videos out, 1 of 10 can actually pull a lot of your reference photos and kind of can understand your brand aesthetic really quickly. And since 2 videos at $50 per month already puts you at $100, the tool $80 or $90 depending on plan, pays for it itself. And for monetized channels, this is a no-brainer. If you're already bringing AdSense revenue, you probably need about 70,000 views across your entire library to cover the annual subscription costs at a $5 RPM. Which brings me to my next point. You're running multiple channels. So if this is you, you're probably a thumbnail designer, a YouTube strategist, an agency, or just a creator that has many channels. And this really changes how your strategist and designer work together. If you are a designer, this actually upgrades you where you're beyond just a pixel pusher, and now you can finally become a true strategist who spends most of your time picking out concepts and refining high-level creative ideas. Instead of spending 6 hours of moving text around in Photoshop, you can actually make bigger decisions on which content your client should shoot. And what I found was that it's actually a massive productivity unlock for the whole entire team. So with all that time that you used to spend on creating thumbnails, now you can spend those like 5-10 hours on figuring out a really great idea, which your client is probably more than happy to pay you for if it brings 10 times more views to the channel. Now that we kind of know who it's for, let's talk about who it's not for and who should skip it. You're a casual YouTuber doing it for fun or can't afford it. So if you're doing this for fun, you don't need this at all whatsoever. Sure, it's great to have this if you want to learn or get better, but beyond the marketing hype, you don't really need it. And I totally get it. You know, sometimes we do YouTube for creative expression. Like I have my yapping channel, I just talk about whatever I want, right? And so I totally get that, but it's not worth going into debt for this product, to be honest with you. We have to realize that YouTube is a marathon, not a sprint. The app will probably be here when you are ready, so that's something to just keep in mind. The second person I think that this is not for is you actually enjoy DIYing the work or doing it yourself. You know, there's like people out there who love researching, doing the manual work, and just have a lot of time. And I'm thinking about these people as the artists who despise AI, and there's a lot of them out there. At the end of the day, this tool is for people who value like speed and efficiency, but if you enjoy the slow, methodical process of doing everything yourself, more power to you. And I really respect those people because I personally can't do that. And so that leads me to my final verdict. Is this worth it or not? So I'll be honest, I initially bought one of 10 Finder for the outliers, but it turned out to be way more useful than expected. After using one of 10 Finder, I found that it helped me create better thumbnails that weren't complete make thumbnails and titles quicker so I can test them and A/B test it. And it turned my thumbnail designer from pushing pixels to a content strategist. But most importantly for me, it helped me kind of love YouTube again because I just hated content packaging. I hated thumbnails. Anyways, if you want to support me and my team's journey out of our mom's basements, we have affiliate links below. If you use the code Kevin or Mommy's Basement, you'll get a discount code off. And finally, we're doing a free onboarding for anyone that uses my link with my thumbnail designer. Anyways, what is your experience of one of 10 Finder? Drop your comments below. I'll talk to you guys later, mother people. Peace.